Thank you for being a part of Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
And don't forget, we are worldwide radio. Your world, your life, your mind is what we discuss on Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com.
Revolution Radio.
Worldwide Internet Radio at freedomslips.com.
Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat masses, eating and drink themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Not me. Get it done.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com. Welcome to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It is now time for Separate Reality with Michael Hemmingson, a foray into all things strange and unusual. All right, Mike, it's all yours. TotalTruthRadio.com.
Total Truth Broadcasting Network is selling affiliate radio stations. What does that mean? Ever wonder if that radio talk show or the 6 o'clock news you're listening to is reporting important facts or just plain old fluff? Presenting a smokescreen to cover up what's really going on in the world. But of course they are looking out for your best interests, right? I don't think so. But that's where you come in. Become the proud owner of your own radio station, operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Broadcasting live, presenting facts and ideas, asking the tough questions, and reaching like-minded people who together will demand answers. Discussion, debate, freedom of speech, I know these are words that inspire you. At TotalTruthRadio.com, this is all possible. Own a business? What better addition to your marketing plan? A radio station dedicated to the customers you serve, promoting your products, detailing the benefits, a perfect way to boost your revenue. For only $50 a month, I repeat, $50 a month, you can broadcast live over the airwaves and have...
Hold on, we're live.
We're live? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm on the air?
Well, you're overdoing music right now.
Welcome to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It is now time for Separate Reality with Michael Hemmingson, a foray into all things strange and unusual. All right, Mike, it's all yours.
All mine. Let's do a test. Am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Tried that once. Had some technical difficulties, but I should be on the air now. If anyone hears me on the air, you know who you are. Text me and say yes. Okay, so welcome and greetings to the inaugural show of A Separate Reality on Revolution Radio with yours truly, the host with the most, a voice in constant freedom of choice, the mind let loose in time travel rewind, the consciousness broadcasting from a remote and secure location somewhere in the armpit of Los Angeles. The heart of hearts of Tinseltown, yes, it is I, Michael Hemmingson. But really, you have been searching for me without knowing it. following oblique references in crudely Xerox marginal Samostat publications, crackpot mystical pamphlets and mail-order courses, a paper trail and a coded series of rumors spread at street level, and the propagation of certain acts of insurrection against the planetary work machine and the consensus reality, or perhaps through various obscure mimeograph technical papers on the edges of chaos science, through pirate computer networks, or even through pure synchronicity in the pursuit of dreams. You have Googled me, fingered me, tracked me through a maze of digital rumors and innuendo. You have freed yourself from mind control and fear porn and found yourself here in this separate reality of online radio, to be here with me, and I thank you for giving me the time of your reality, for our realities to combine and refine. And so, broadcasting from another universe, connecting to this universe from the filaments of the multi-maxiverse, we begin a separate reality with I, the Oris of the pirated I, Michael Hemmingson. So, this is my first show. I'm hoping my voice will hold up and not crack, because I'm not really used to talking this long. I haven't done radio since 2005. So I hope you will bear with me as I stumble around and get a comfortable feel for all this. First off, who am I? Michael Hemmingson. I'm a professional writer, freelance writer, journalist, screenwriter. I've been publishing books since I was born. I've got dozens of books available, published for all kinds of genres, fiction, nonfiction. I made an independent film in Hollywood. It's called The Watermelon. I've been I still run around Hollywood trying to sell various ideas with my manager. That's a whole separate reality from what I do as a journalist. Currently, since about 2005, I've been a journalist down in Tijuana, Mexico, for a variety of publications and wire services. Mainly, I was covering the drug cartels and the violence, which was escalating from 2005 to 8, but it's pretty much calmed down now. And lately, I have been tracking the presence of the Chinese military down on the border from California, Arizona, and Texas. You could look anywhere online, just Google it, Chinese military, U.S.-Mexican border, and there's reports and news items from people going back more than 10 years ago about an increased presence of the Chinese military there on the border. I remember maybe about 10 or 12 years ago, and I forget the guy's name, but this guy was on the Art Bell show. He had written a book. I'm still trying to find what that book is. I can't find it, but I remember this guy. He was on twice, I think. He had written a book. He was a former Border Patrol agent, and he claimed there was a secret war going on between the Border Patrol and Chinese troops taking pop shots at each other, and it was covered up in the news as being skirmishes with coyotes and drug cartel guys. And I've seen out in the Mexicali-Calexico area, I've seen these Chinese troops training out there. The Chinese council will say, oh, well, they're just training because the desert terrain is similar to the Chinese desert terrain. Well, I mean, if it's similar, why aren't they just training in China? But there's also a presence of Pakistani military and others. In the last 2 years, I have noticed an extreme increase of Chinese immigrants coming into Tijuana and the beach areas like Ensenada. They're investing in the infrastructure. There's big high-rise buildings coming up in Tijuana with financed by the Chinese, and I'm wondering why. It's kind of strange. I'm talking about thousands and thousands of people from China moving to Tijuana. Now, I heard from Bill Brockbrader. I heard him on show. I think he was on Wolf Spirit Radio or somewhere else. He had mentioned that he had said that he believed the Chinese soldiers are acting as civilians down there. I mean, they're not wearing their uniforms. And I've also gotten word from a good source that the Chinese military are disguising themselves as Mexican military. Now down there, I've seen the military is all over the place. It's like Baghdad. You got troop transports and tanks rolling down the streets, and all the military guys wear ski masks, and they say the reason for that is so they won't be identified, and their families blackmail or whatever to try to get them to come over to the cartel side. But with the ski masks, you can't tell what nationality they are. I'll maybe be talking more about this at length in other shows, and also with Carrie Cassidy at some point on one of her shows she wants me on, because this could be a big problem. Why would the Chinese invade? Oh, well, there's another thing, is that they're also a big presence in Cuba. In 2010, the Cuban government strengthened ties with the Chinese military. You could find this online to verify it. And there's a strong Chinese military presence in Cuba. Now, they could invade through Florida that way, and then invade upwards through California and Arizona and Texas and New Mexico. But why would this happen? There's a number of good reasons. China owns most of America, as we all know that. They own our debt. They own property. If there's a financial collapse, something going on where the infrastructure of America starts breaking down, they could cross the border and say, well, we're just protecting our investments. It's our stuff. We own it. And the UN and the World Court will back them up, because technically we could say, well, they have the right to protect their investments. They own it. The United States would do the same thing. Another reason could be, we're hearing lately from this guy named Drake and David Wilcock and Ben Fulford that there's going to be soon there's going to be these mass arrests in the United States of bankers, criminal bankers, and Wall Street and politicians, by the White Hat faction within the Pentagon and the CIA. And if this happens, this guy Drake was saying that they'll have to close the borders and for 48 or 72 hours and close down communications while the infrastructure is changed. And of course we would have Obama saying, well, this is a military coup d'etat, and if the White Hats have control of the military, certainly Obama could say, I need some foreign help, and voila, there's 100,000 Chinese troops on the border. They can come in and start fighting with the White Hats. There's any number of reasons. However, this rumor or this has been going on for over a decade. What are they waiting for? But I believe we should question and be a little wary about why there's so many Chinese troops on our border and in Cuba. And also that the Chinese have been buying up harbors on the West Coast. They own the Long Beach Harbor. And I've heard that they bought one up in, I think, Oregon, or was it Seattle, or the Washington State. Now, if they own these harbors, they could easily start bringing in other troops, munitions, reinforcements, whatever. So, something to think about and wonder about. Influences. I've been wanting to do radio for a long time, but just kind of in the background of my reality. Obviously, like many of us who have radio shows, we were highly influenced by Art Bell. I was a big fan of his in the 90s and on until he retired. The Coast to Coast has just been completely destroyed by George Norrie. It's just not the same anymore. George Norrie plays it too safe, and he's working for the man, it seems. Other radio shows that are much more better and informative are like Sean David Morton, which I like, even though he gabs on too much, and Carrie Cassidy, and of course there's a number of great shows in the same vein here on Revolution Radio.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
I welcome you to the station. I believe you're going to be a good contributor to the station. And,
thank you.
We need Saturday shows, and I'm sure glad you stepped up and took a Saturday afternoon like this.
Okay, well I might do the Wednesday primetime too. It's still not.
Oh, no, that'd be good too. I believe you'd get more people.
Yeah, and primetime, I would be competing with Carrie Cassidy on American Freedom, but that's okay. I'll have Nighthawk suggested having a co-host, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah, I'm better as a co-host than being a host, but I'm trying to change over to being a host. We do have a few people out here that would be really good for you to hook up with. We'll see what we can do for you.
Yeah, great. So a little bit of news here. Today apparently is the 100th anniversary of the Titanic. So happy anniversary, Titanic. And should crack open a bottle and celebrate that, I guess.
Was it the sinking or the
sinking, I believe.
Well, I don't know about celebrating that, but
well, the New World Order can celebrate it, since there is the conspiracy theory that the Titanic was sunk on purpose because there were a lot of rich and influential people in the banking industry on board that ship at that time and who'd been killed.
Yeah, there's also some speculation that it was actually the sister ship, the Olympia, that went down and not the Titanic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen some videos on it. I don't know how true it is.
Well, then what happened to the Titanic?
I imagine it's taken the place of the Olympia, wherever it is. I'm not sure exactly. I just heard a video about it. I don't know the rumor about it or nothing, but there's been some speculation about it.
Well, let me see some other stuff in the news. Oh, by the way, at the second hour, I'm going to bring in my interview guest, which is Ronald Malfi. He's an author of a variety of genre fictions, filmmaker, sideline Hollywood stuff, but mostly a writer of psychological thrillers, and horror books. And we're going to be talking about the publishing industry, how it's changing to digital format from print, the difficulties of making a living as a freelance author, which I do and he does, and just whatever else. I've known him for a while, and we have a good rapport, and hopefully it'll be a lot more fun than just hearing me yakking away until my voice cracks. I did want to touch base on some interesting news items that have come up the last day or two. In Iceland, the Icelandic government has been doing debt forgiveness with home loans. Since, let me see what it says. I got a news item. Since the end of 2008, the island banks have forgiven loans equivalent to 13% of gross domestic product, easing the debt burdens of more than a quarter of the population, according to a report published this month in the Icelandic Financial Services Association. You could safely say that Iceland holds the world record in household debt relief, said Lars Christensen, chief emerging market economist at a Danske Bank AS in Copenhagen. Iceland followed the textbook example of what is required in a crisis. An economist would agree with that. So basically, their banks had defaulted on, well, I guess, $85 billion. Iceland apparently is having, or had a worse economic crisis than any of the countries in Europe right now. And in fact, the people of Iceland don't even want to join the EU. So apparently what the banks are doing is simply just forgiving home loan debts, and it's working out there, and certainly it's appeasing the masses who have been gathering at banks and tossing rocks in the window and tossing rocks at bankers and stuff, which they did that here in the United States. They quickly be tossed into a FEMA camp. But the one thing that I think, you know, our fine banking friends in the United States have failed to realize is when they, a couple of years ago, when they asked the American taxpayers, hey, could you please give us billions, trillions of dollars to help us out so we won't go under, asking the taxpayers for this loan, what did they give back in return? Did they forgive loans? I mean, they could forgive housing loans on a lottery basis. So, you know, pick and choose who will get a housing loan or car loan forgiveness, or they could do it on the basis of an individual basis of whether the family providers are employed or not, how much they make, how many children are in the family, and so on. If these U.S. bankers or world bankers did that, they would make a lot of friends in the American populace. You know, there might not be these Wall Street occupying stuff. Something to consider. I mean, it looks like Iceland is something they could learn from, at least for now, from what's coming out in the news. Another thing in the news is suspected anonymous hacker busted by the FBI thanks to a photo of his girlfriend's boobs. It says the evidence that the Federal Bureau of Investigation gathered against an alleged Galveston, Texas hacker didn't come from a techno chase through the expansive internet. Instead, the FBI used the information embedded in a photograph of his girlfriend's breasts. Hignio O. Ochoa, 30, a Linux administrator by day, but by night accused of being part of a group called Cabin Crews, an affiliate of the hacktivist organization known as Anonymous. According to Gizmodo, Ochoa allegedly used the Twitter handle a non-wormer to link to a site boasting personal information on law enforcement officials, although with a picture of a young woman in a low-cut shirt that read "Pond by Wormer and Cabin Crew." If you Google online, you'll see this woman with some D cups leaning over, and she's got a sign posted on her waist. The FBI found the image in February and checked the exchangeable image format, or EXIF data, for evidence. EXIF data is information that a digital camera imprints onto an image. This particular image's EXIF data revealed that it came from an iPhone near Melbourne, Australia, which then led the FBI to Ochoa's Facebook page. The page featured other images of the girl, who turned out to be his girlfriend. On March 20th, the FBI stormed Ochoa's apartment and arrested him. He was held at the FBI Houston branch, and a $50,000 bail was posted. The FBI alleges that, in addition to the violation of police officers' privacy, Ochoa also hacked the County of Houston's website. He created fake events on their online, posted images representing Anonymous and Cabin Crew, deleted the entire administrator accounts except one created by the attacker, the FBI detailed to Gizmodo. The FBI also said that Ochoa also leaked personal information of Goldman Sachs executives last September. Now, these hacker guys, Anonymous, I thought they were supposed to be elite 3133 plus hackers. Apparently this guy isn't. If he should have known that tracing information would have been on the photograph of his girlfriend. So something to learn out there, you guys in Anonymous. Speaking of Anonymous, back in 2009, my literary agent suggested I write a book about Anonymous, and we put together the proposal, but no one seemed to be too interested in it because Anonymous wasn't as big back then. I'm thinking I should go back and get that proposal out there, because Anonymous certainly is in the news a lot, and they're up to all kinds of things. We got members of Anonymous. Hello?
Oh, I just clicked off the thing. I was going to just say that I think Anonymous has been infiltrated and is pretty much being controlled by who they, the people are actually going against. Well,
I'm getting the feeling that even the Occupy Wall Streeters have been infiltrated too.
Oh yeah, I think once they get something like that started, they get infiltrators in there pretty quick. You can see the difference in the mood and the actions that's going on. I haven't followed either of that Occupy anything lately because of it. You know, I just think it's being used. They twisted it to their use.
Well, a lot of the criticism I'm hearing with the occupiers, you know, the majority are people in their 20s, even in their late teens, and a lot of them are just doing it to be part of the flash crowd, just the mob. I mean, they're joining these protests, but they don't even know why. Hey, well, it's cool, you know, let's do this. I mean, they don't really seem to have any set political agenda or even know why. You know, it's just the whole, well, Wall Street bankers are evil. Of course they are, without even knowing what's going on Wall Street.
I agree with that now. I mean, our biggest problem is Washington, not Wall Street, you know. If that's where it should be happening, not up at Wall Street. You don't control anything. Wall Street don't control any of the legislation. It's all in Washington.
Oh, by the way, out there, that's the other voice is a Mad Painter. He's got his own show, and he's a producer here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And I should mention that Revolution Radio is user-friendly, user-generated. We don't run ads, but you could donate. There's a donate button on the website at freedomslips.com where you're listening to this program. You could sponsor a certain host and show or just help out. So think about that. And if you want to sponsor me in the future, you're welcome to. And I'd be much grateful and mention you on the air. Let's see. Last night, yes?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. Last night, Revolution Radio late at night does a roundtable where a bunch of us just yak away. There was a guy on last night. He was going by the name of Tones. Told us about something that I looked up about in Michigan. The police are now, during traffic stops, taking people's cell phones and downloading all the information in their cell phones with a special device called I've got it on here. It's Cellbrite. It's a device that will download all your photos and information within a minute. The ACLU is currently suing them over that because as a Fourth Amendment violation. As far as I could tell, this is only going on in Michigan, and I'm wondering how they get away with that. I mean, if you get pulled over and the cops ask for your cell phone, and if you say no, are they going to arrest you, or what's going on? This is something I need to look into more.
Personally, I'd rather throw it against the ground and break it before giving it to them.
Yeah, or you could just take your data chip out or whatever, or even just say, yeah, I don't have a cell phone.
Yeah, that's true. I don't mean to break in, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, fine. That's great. Just go ahead. I got a news item about it. It's from the newspaper.com. Michigan State Police have a high-tech mobile forensic device that can be used to extract information from cell phones belonging to motorists stopped for minor traffic violations. ACLU learned that the police have acquired the cell phone scanning devices, and they have filed for a request. The ACLU had filed for a Freedom of Information Act request on this technology, and the FROA has been denied. And then the Michigan State Police then responded, said they would only give the information to ACLU if the ACLU gave them a payment of $544,000, $5,400, whatever, $500,000 they want, which sounds really bizarre. I do know from myself being as a journalist that state and local police don't have to adhere to FOA requests because that's only for federal stuff. However, most states and cities will have their own local public information acts. I've tried to get information from Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego police in the West Coast about murders and other things, and they've refused because I was asking them through as FOA, and then when I asked for some information using state and local statutes, they just said no. The U.S. Department of Justice test of the Cellbrite UFED used by Michigan police found the device could grab all the photos and video off an iPhone within 1.5 minutes. The device works with 3,000 different phone models and can even defeat password protections. This is the same on the border. Now when on any border, you come into a U.S. port, the Border Patrol apparently has the right or requesting if they want to download the information on your cell phone or on your laptop. And if you have password protection, they want your password. Now this hasn't happened to me yet. I cross the border a lot, and they've not yet once asked to take a look at my laptop. When I've gone into federal buildings, just to go to records or whatever, usually in the federal buildings, they'll have you turn your laptop on to make sure that it's actually a working laptop and not some kind of Al-Qaeda sovereign citizen bomb. Yeah. So there's that. And I got a couple other things here. TS inspector accused of stealing iPads at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. Well, are we surprised to hear that? The Transportation Security Administration, or often referred to as the Toilet Security Administration, a baggage inspector at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport has been indicted in the theft of Apple iPads from luggage over 8 months. Clayton Keith Dovell, age 36, of Bedford, was arrested February 1 and has been suspended indefinitely, officials said. The investigation led to the recovery of 8 stolen iPads, including one that was among Dovell's possessions at Terminal E when he was arrested. His attorney, Greg Westville, denied to comment. The indictments that the Tarrant County grand jury issued this week charged Dovell with theft by public servant of items valued up to $20,000. If convicted, he could face 2 to 10 years in prison. According to police, a travel reported January 21st that his iPad 2 had been stolen and that he had traced it electronically to a home in Bedford owned by Dovell. Now, this is really stupid. If you can steal laptops, and most people, smartly, and I have, will have a tracking device in their machines just for this. I've read a couple of reports where someone had their laptop stolen and they could remotely activate the camera on their laptop and see who it is that stole it. So, but being that a TSA agent has done it, well, I'm not too surprised. A friend of mine, this producer filmmaker in Hollywood, who had directed my first movie, The Watermelon, he had been hired in 2008 to do a documentary on Obama and the Democratic National Convention. He'd been hired by I can't remember the name, the people who were for Hillary. They paid for it. So he takes off to Chicago with two $10,000 cameras, and when he's flying, he said he had a middle seat, and sitting on either side of him were these agent type guys, military crew cut kind of guys, just sitting there, just sitting there, not saying anything to him, kind of making him nervous. So when he gets off the plane, he discovers that his cameras are missing, and so the airline, I forgot the name, which airline is that one out of New York. Anyway, the airline claimed they weren't responsible, that the TSA and the local TSA there in Chicago was responsible, and then he goes to TSA, and they say, "Oh, it's not our fault. We don't know what's going on." So obviously, someone within the TSA or the airport stole his cameras as a message. So they're up to that, along with the molestation of children and patting you down, grabbing your junk, sending you through radiation scanners. I'm suspecting that in the next 5 years we're going to have a lot of these TS people dying of cancer, because those scanners emit 10 times more radiation than a dental exam. You know, when you go to the dentist, they put on that iron bib on you, and the dentist wears an iron bib, and then when they take X-rays, they leave the room because they're doing this all day long, and that amasses the radiation. Well, that's the same case for these scanning machines, and you have these TSA guys and women, men and women, around these machines all day long, 5-6 days a week. Of course, they're going to start being a little radioactive, but we're not going to be hearing about this for a couple of years, and there'll probably be a whole bunch of lawsuits. And well, of course, you know, if 5 years or so from now the Constitution is suspended, I guess there won't be any lawsuits, and they'll just have to take it. What else have we got here? Not that I'm bashing on the government agents here, but a lot of this news is coming up here today. The other one we got here is Secret Service agents busted because they refused to pay a hooker. This is the big thing in the news today, that a dozen Secret Service agents were sent home after a prostitution scandal in Colombia. One of them apparently refused to pay a prostitute. The scandal, which is a black eye for the United States reputation abroad, was revealed Friday before President Obama arrived in Cartagena for the Summit of the Americas. The 12 Secret Service agents were part of an advanced team meant to secure a local hotel before the summit began. Yet their attention apparently turned to taking advantage of Colombia's policy of legal prostitution. They had arranged to have a bunch of prostitutes come by, and one of the agents refused to pay a prostitute, said author Ronald Kessler, one of the leading experts on the Secret Service. Kessler, who was briefed on the investigation by his sources within the agency, told the Daily News Saturday that the spurned hooker went to the police to report the lack of payment. The local authorities then notified the U.S. officials, who immediately recalled the 12 agents back to Washington. Their careers are over, said Kessler. Number one, it's against basic ethics to go to a prostitute, he continued. Number two, it's incredibly embarrassing to the White House. And number three, he went on, it could leave them open to blackmail and a possible assassination attempt. Kessler said 2 of the agents were supervisors who attempted to cover up the mortifying incident. A former Secret Service member told the New York Times that only one agent tried to purchase the services of a hooker, but the whole team was recalled as part of the investigation. Prostitution is legal in Colombia as long as it is conducted in so-called tolerance zones. Yes. Though the exact boundaries of the zones frequently change and are rarely enforced by the police, the coastal city of Cartagena is a popular destination for prostitution and sex tourism, according to the U.S. State Department website. Well, what I want to know is, okay, you got a Secret Service agent paying for the services of providers, they call them. Is that on their expense bill? Who's paying for these hookers? Us, the taxpayers, or Obama, which would be the same? So, hey, I guess that's part of the perks of the job. But, you know, they're human beings. We can't fault them for that. And over here in Los Angeles, we have LAPD drops transgender pat-downs in ICE separate detention space. Police on Friday signaled a department-wide shift in its treatment of transgendered people, both on the street and behind bars, including a reported plan to provide hormone treatments to transgender detainees. Arrested transgendered men and women will be housed in a separate section of the Los Angeles Police Department's downtown Metropolitan Detention Center by the end of this month, according to a report published Friday. LAPD Jail Division Commander Captain Dave Lindsay announced the move Thursday night at a meeting of transgender people in West Hollywood that was also attended by Police Chief Charlie Beck and members of the city's police commission. Lindsay said that the separate section for as many as 24 transgender people will be in the new women's jail module due to open at the detention center later in the month. The Metropolitan Detention Center typically houses detainees for up to 3 days as they await arraignment after being arrested. After arraignment, they are transferred to the Los Angeles County Jail, which is run by the Sheriff's Department and doesn't have a segregated area for transgender people. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I thought they already had this in Los Angeles. Most big city police departments generally put the men dressed as women or transgendered in a separate area than your regular straight guys, because these people will get raped in jail. Are you on Matt Painter? You want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, now they're saying we're 3 races, male, female, and who knows which?
The other.
Yeah, I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, but that just seems pretty strange.
Well, you also have your human reptilian types, which are supposed to be hermaphrodites too.
Well, were we going to have a separate prison for them too? Oh wait, well, they run everything, don't they?
Yeah, they run everything. but once we regain our planet, maybe we will have separate reptilian gray prisons.
I agree. I couldn't resist that though. That just tickles me about transvestites or transgender or whatever they want to call them.
Well, it's transgender.
I'm old-fashioned.
Well, a transvestite is just a man who dresses in women's clothes, usually in private, or sometimes in these clothes. But a transgender is someone going through gender change.
Well, I believe God made you what you are, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Or the great creator, whatever you want to call it. I just get a kick out of it.
Let's see. Where are we at? Oh, we're about 15 minutes to our guest. So what's else going on? The internet in China went out at approximately 11 a.m. local time today, or yesterday. Internet users around China reported significant internet blackouts. Not only were they unable to access some Chinese sites, but also many foreign websites that had not been previously blocked. The issue was not isolated to China. Web users in Hong Kong and Japan also reported issues with accessing Chinese sites. A number of explanations immediately came to light, with the most viable cause being the 8.7 magnitude earthquake in Indonesia on Wednesday that might have damaged undersea cables. Yeah, right. However, reports from China's major telecommunication companies, China Telecom and Unicorn, suggest that this was not the case. China Telecom confirmed that the earthquake had not interfered with the underwater cables in any way. Both companies also shot down theories that the outage could have been caused by some sort of blip in the system, with Telecom insisting that there was no issue with their network. Now, there was talk, well, last week, 2 weeks ago, that there was actually some sort of coup that occurred within the Chinese government. I don't know too much about that, but we do know that China does. No, they claim they have the internet kill switch, which they could use on us, but the Chinese people do not have the free internet access that we in the Western world do at this time anyway. First, we were seeing that the White House wants to change that. I had a friend who adopted a child out of China last year, and when he was over there in China, he couldn't access his Google Mail, or PayPal. Apparently, China has blocked access to PayPal and Google and other sites. I just thought that was interesting. See what else we got here. And did that.
They don't want them spending the money outside of China.
Well, that's true. Well, plus China and Japan are no longer accepting U.S. money printed after 2009.
Huh. That I didn't hear about.
Yeah, they're according to Ben Fulford, who claims that the earthquake in Japan on March 11 last year was not an earthquake, but instigated by a small nuclear bombs placed undersea. He's claiming that this was a cabal effort, a Zionist cabal effort, because the Israelis had found out that the Japanese were giving Iran what is that stuff? Enhanced,
uranium.
Yeah, uranium. Yeah, and also because the Japanese banking system no longer accepts our fiat money printed after 2009. When Obama started printing like crazy trillions of dollars, which have no banking in gold or backing in gold, nor does any of our money, but they're just the Japanese and other governments are seeing the post 2009 bills as being not even worth the paper they're printed on. So they're not accepting them. You could check online about this. There's reports of people in Japan with trying to deposit post 2009 bills at banks, and the banks reject them. And certain banks won't even take U.S. ATM cards. Speaking of websites and our nifty government, everyone's running around talking about disclose.tv. When you go there, there's a banner saying this domain name has been seized by United States Department of Internet Security Terrorism Task Force and European Allied Command Operations for civil and criminal legal action. This is a joke, but everyone thinks this is real. I mean, there is no U.S. Department of Internet Security Terrorism Task Force. It says here, a warrant has been obtained with the assistance of the U.S. Terror Attorney's Office for the District of Maryland, authorizing seizure of property in Fort Deferred thereof, according to 23 U.S.C. 981 and 714C. It obviously seems that Duclos TV is trying to make a statement here, because a number of websites have been lately been seized by the FBI, such as a lot of those websites that offer free movies. Megaupload, for one.
Do you have a link to that site?
It's disclose.tv.
Because I can go on there and take a look at it and see if it's where.
Yeah. There's
where the picture's coming from.
There's an emblem with an eagle and an American flag that says U.S. Department of Internet Security Terrorism Task Force. Well,
I got one of them pictures too, and I could throw it up on my website if I wanted to.
And then the EACO shield, which is European Allied Command Operations. And, you could also find online little emblems for the Naval Space Command, the U.S. Space Command, which, according to a lot of people, exist. I mean, that guy, a young guy in England, I can't remember his name, the young guy who hacked into NASA and found the manifest cargo stuff for.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, for.
U.S. wants to expedite him here so they can press charges, and they don't want to.
Yeah, that's been going on in the British court system for a while now, a couple of years. Carrie Cassidy has an interview with him that she did 2 or 3 years ago, where he says that he came across these manifests for ships that don't exist, whether they're USSS, United States Space, whatever, that these are U.S. fleet and in orbit or around the moon or Mars, and he came across these cargo manifests and names of officers. If he's not a disinformation guy, he could be. We always got to wonder about these things.
Oh, I personally believe the boy. He was scared as all get out the first couple of videos I seen him. He settled down after that, but at first he was scared. He was going to jail.
Yeah, they would charge him for terrorism, treason, or whatever.
Espionage, for one.
Espionage.
I know several other things I'm sure they could charge him with.
Which would get him 25 years to life. Well, I know his mother is behind a campaign to Gary McKinnon, that's his name. His mother's behind the Free Gary McKinnon campaign. Let's see. So are we going to have a top of the hour break or music or?
Yeah, music will come in, and then you'll have 30 seconds to
grab my guest.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to grab him after we come back on, because if I pull him in before then if he talks, it'll go right out in the ear.
What do you see him on?
He hasn't added me.
Okay, Ronald, if you're out there, well, I got a text from him. He said he has added you. Do you see Ronald Malfi?
No, let me change the view. Hawk, did it come to the server by chance? No. Ronald Malfi, you say?
Malfi, M-A-L-F-I. Here, let me. I'll text him here.
Well, if you have his contact details, you can just send me his contact details, and I can add him. Just stick his contact details here in the chat box in Skype, and then I can add him.
Okay. You dead air here?
Yeah. We got a little bit of it sometimes.
Oh, wait a minute. He just texted me. He said yes. He added you.
I don't have him.
Well, let me see. Final news item here. This is coming from David Wilcock's Divine Cosmos website. Major event: liens filed against all 12 Federal Reserve banks. The next major milestone of the mass arrest of the cabal has now arrived. Liens have now been filed against all 12 Federal Reserve banks. A cease and desist order has also been filed to prevent the world's wealth from continuing to be stolen. David Wilcock has a week or two ago interviewed this man who goes by the name of Drake. He's all the talk on the online right now. Drake apparently is a white hat within the government, chosen to be the spokesperson who's claimed that these mass arrests are going to occur soon. Although one has to wonder the logistics of this. As I said before earlier at the top of the show, this could be considered a military coup d'etat. Almost sounded like Barack there a moment. This is a military coup d'etat, and we cannot let this happen.
We have your guest has arrived.
Oh, he's arrived. You on, Ron?
I have arrived.
You have arrived. Well, we'll start with you after the break, but to start off, Ronald Malfi is a professional writer. He's also a musician, filmmaker, senior statesman, poet, gigolo. Yeah. And gigolo. Ladies out there, Ron does charge reasonable rates.
Very reasonable. Yeah.
Very reasonable. I've known Ron since we met on what's that website? LiveJournal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Back in about 2004, and then I met him personally. He and I were both guests at the Writers Weekend Conference in Seattle, and what was that, summer of 2005? Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. And so we had fun over there. You know, they flew us out there, gave us a room, and we got drunk and terrorized people. All these romance writers.
I'm pretty sure the first night we met, we wound up getting a case of beer and sitting in the hot tub in the hotel pool.
No, we stole the bottle of Jim Beam out of their bar.
That's right. That's what it was.
There's like, you're just supposed to make a drink, not take off with the whole bottle.
Yeah, we didn't get invited back, did we? After that.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was you terrorizing those poor elf porn writers, you know, writing erotica about elves and dwarves.
That's right. That's right.
Although that stuff sells quite a bit.
Well,
people make money off that stuff.
Far be it for me to turn my nose up at anything that makes money. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. So anyway, I met Ron there, and we've been friends and in contact. He introduced me to a fairly big power player in Hollywood, although the guy is completely insane. Tony Romano. He produced, executive produced iRobot and Catch Me If You Can, and numbers of TV shows. Their most recent production, which should be coming out soon, is the a biography of Buddha, which they made for $100 million in India. The last time I talked to Tony, I called him and connected to his Skype up in the Himalayas, and he was shocked that he was getting a signal.
Did you really? That's cool.
Yeah, that was the last time I talked to him, because I wanted to talk to him about, going out to pitch some TV shows. But he was busy doing this Buddha pick. Actually, he told me about the Buddha pick back in 2007 when we were shooting The Watermelon, and offered me a PA position on it just to go out there with him. But they were going to be working on it for 2 years, and
yeah,
I wasn't in a position to take off for 2 years to do I hear the break music?
Yes, sir. We're headed to a break. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after these messages.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio. We'll be right back after this short break, so stay tuned. TotalTruthRadio.com.
Total Truth Broadcasting Network is selling affiliate radio stations. What does that mean? Ever wonder if that radio talk show or the 6 o'clock news you're listening to is reporting important facts or just plain old fluff? Presenting a smokescreen to cover up what's really going on in the world. But of course they are looking out for your best interests, right? I don't think so. But that's where you come in. Become the proud owner of your own radio station, operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Broadcasting live, presenting facts and ideas, asking the tough questions, and reaching like-minded people who together will demand answers. Discussion, debate, freedom of speech, I know these are words that inspire you. At TotalTruthRadio.com, this is all possible. Own a business? What better addition to your marketing plan? A radio station dedicated to the customers you serve, promoting your products, detailing the benefits. A perfect way to boost your revenue.